Hi there, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new here, welcome. In this video, I'm putting together the week of March 20th through 26th in my Project Life album for 2023. This is the first week of spring, so I'm excited to bring in some spring colors and bring in some spring stories and just kind of get rid of winter. I am very much over it. So I'm going to be working with the open story kit because I'm very much open to this new season. So let's go ahead and dive in. Hi there. In this video, I am working with the open story kit. So I've already taken some pieces out of here that I know I want to work with on some other projects and left basically everything else to work on or to potentially include in my Project Life album here. So I have decided that on this side, I have all the 3x4 pockets because that is what I used on the last week. And then on this side, I have two 4x6 pockets, and I only had one photo to print 4x6, so I decided I was going to include this here for this card with this photo as a small square and add some journaling in it. So I decided that before I printed out my photos because I knew I needed a second photo or something to go in that 4x6 pocket. So I'm just kind of trying to figure out how I want everything to be laid out over here. It's easier to do like a card photo, but I honestly don't have that many cards anyway. So I want to kind of balance it out a little bit, but I'm trying to just kind of decide how I want to do that. I don't want, I don't want the 2 feet cards next to each other. Like here's my feet and here's my feet. So I'm thinking something like this maybe. Okay, and then I'm gonna go over to the cards. So I really liked this open to a fresh start for this title card. So sometimes the story kit theme really lends itself well to Project Life and other times it doesn't. This is a more specific theme. There are, however, these 2 cards that are very open. You can do whatever you want on them. There's just kind of says story, moments, and memories. So that is helpful for including in Project Life. But I do want to also use the theme a little bit. So I'm working with this open theme. I chose this for this week for a couple of reasons. First of all, it was the first day of spring. So, and you can see my tulips are starting to come in. So I'm thinking I want to put like opening chapter like this on top of this photo where my tulips are coming up. But I could also see doing like, just like the open, but I think I want to use this big one. Although there's also the white word here. No, I think I'm gonna do this opening chapter on here because we're like opening this new chapter, new season. And then I have this there's this filler card and this filler card. So this one, Ali's included a card like this in the past. I believe it was in March Stories by the Month kit, but like maybe 2 years ago. And if you're wondering why I can remember that, I'm just thinking of what I did with it and when it was. So if that is kind of a strange thing to remember. But I had cut it into strips, but I'm thinking I might even like to leave it just plain like that because it's fun how it is. And it has 2023 on here, so I do want to use it. Even though we're not welcoming the beginning of 2023, that's okay. And then I have this one. I'm thinking I could layer, I don't want the blue and blue, but maybe like, just like that on there. Let's see, I also had, it was a rough week for my daughter. Oh, I have to fill this one too. So it was a rough week for my daughter, and I kind of need to include that story somehow or a nod to that story. I don't really want to, thinking I want to make this into a 3x4 card, honestly. I think that would be super cute. I'm going to keep that one. So I think I want to make a nod to it, but I don't want it to be kind of like a highlight. But it was kind of like thinking the like keep an open mind type of situation, right? Let's see, now I think I want to cut a little bit more here. So obviously these are not going to fit, so I'm going to be cutting them off, but I wanted to like purposefully off center them so I get some of this, and then I have that space right there for 3 stories. And then let's see what other, so the spring is opening, and my story right here about Taylor Swift can be kind of about being open, because I have always been very like, I can't rank Taylor Swift songs because it would take too long to like go through all of them methodically. And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do this like fun thing. And if you haven't seen that, it's on my Instagram. It's kind of just like a fun game to rank all of the songs in a game fashion, so it doesn't actually turn out with your real ranking, but it's a ton of fun. And let's see, I want to do like yes right here, because I want to do yes spring shoes. Yeah, I think that is good to kind of start. I'm just trying to see what else from here I could include. Yeah, I think that's a good spot to kind of start. I'm not sure if any of these other chipboard pieces really work. This one, I guess it's the opening of the week. And this one, I don't know that really works, but I guess the diner's open for business. Right, I'm just gonna kind of coming up with some creative uses to some of these chipboard pieces. I do also have these hearts and the word phrase strips, so I'm thinking I can kind of pair some of those together to create some fun embellishment clusters. So I'm gonna go ahead and put you guys on fast forward and get this one put together.
Okay, so I really had a good layout of this spread during the portion that I was doing in real time with you guys. So by the time I was speeding up, I really kind of had everything laid out. I went through and did my title card first, like I usually do. I just stamped the date stamps on there and put one of the heart chipboard pieces, and then I adhered that. I started adhering some of the chipboard pieces down onto some of the cards. I pulled over these labels because I wanted to add a few extra stories to some of the cards or some of the photos, but I decided to do my longer journaling first. And I did that because I wanted to kind of figure out what stories were going to be included on these cards before I really dove into the smaller stories on the photos, because if I didn't have enough to tell on these longer cards, then I would end up not needing those little labels on the photos, if that makes any sense at all. Hopefully it does. But I do like to do all of my journaling at once because I have my little sticky note here that has a list of all of the stories I want to tell. And this way I can kind of balance it between the journaling cards that I have chosen for the spread to make sure I have enough to say to fill the cards and not too much where I run out of space. So the story card there that has the pink word story, I talked about the theme of it being the first week of spring. So I talked about how, it's this new season and some of the weather changes and how that impacts my life. And then some of the spring cleaning that I kind of started during this week. The story card that is in yellow, I decided to tell the story about my daughter's rough week, which I'm going to do off camera so that I can blur it out. She just was having a little bit of a tough time transitioning in the seasons and, getting out of her, kind of hibernating routine from the winter. But, it was the last of the rough weeks so far, at least, hopefully. And we're really getting towards the end of high school for her. And it's been a lot, but she's very, very excited for college, and I'm very excited for her. So I think it's going to be good. I think that this is really just kind of a season of being open to big changes. And with that, there's always some growing pains, right? So on this photo here of my feet, I took a photo of my feet at work because I'm wearing Tom shoes for the first time this year. In upstate New York where I live, it's very cold all winter and you can't wear shoes that expose your feet. So I was really excited about the fact that I could wear warm weather shoes. So that's what I added on that little label. While I was speaking earlier, I glossed over some of the other photos. The one that is my cat in a little cardboard diner. This is open on it. I kind of miswrote what I was trying to say there, so I'm going to have to go back and white it out and fix it. But what I was trying to say is that he's finally giving this diner a chance, because I got him this diner, I think for Christmas. He used to have a taco truck here and it was getting a little ratty. So I threw it out and replaced it with this diner, and he kind of rejected it for the longest time. But finally, this week, he decided to go in there for the first time. So it's kind of a stretch to the open theme, but I like that about these story kit themes, because I can really, stretch my mind as to how I'm going to connect my stories to it. So I wrote, that he's open to giving this diner a chance, which I think is a great way to frame that story. On this card here, I'm telling the story about Taylor Swift Ranked. And I, again, framed this from the open mind side, because this was a game that I found online that was started by Claire from Online. And you can see more about this on my Instagram. But basically, I ranked all of the Taylor Swift songs using a game type style. So while you were selecting your ranking, you had to kind of do it blindly. It's kind of hard to explain it without someone like going back and looking at it. So I would suggest going back and looking at my story highlights if you're interested. But you don't end up with a true ranking, because it is sort of like a game. So I had to have an open mind and kind of let go of my need for perfection. And I had a ton of fun with it. And a lot of people really it seemed to resonate with them as well. So I just kind of told that story there. And then that wrapped up everything I wanted to include. I'm just kind of shifting things around to balance them out. I didn't want multiple cards that had the same treatment, or photos that had the same treatment next to each other. So that's why I was shifting those ones around on the left-hand side. And then I'm going ahead and slipping everything into the pockets. I really love how this one came out, and I really love that I was able to use a lot of this open story kit. Even though it has such a specific theme, I felt that it worked really well for Project Life, and that's one of the reasons I just love using these story kits and Project Life, is because it gives you a different lens to really frame your stories. And a lot of the stories that happened this week, I would have told them anyways, but I wouldn't have told them from the same angle. And it keeps this project interesting and fresh as you're working on it week after week. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a look at the finished spread right here with that journaling blurred out. And you can, of course, always see this on my Instagram as well, which is linked down in the description box below. I hope to see you guys soon. Thanks. Bye.